Hi you guys, welcome back to the channel. Yesterday we had a huge drop in the price of oil. In fact, some of the headlines I'm going to read here. U.S. oil prices crash to 20-year low as coronavirus crushes demand and storage facilities swell. Oil prices turn negative. Hundreds of U.S. oil companies could go bankrupt. Let me read what I read. Oil prices futures slipped into negative territory on Monday, a shocking oil market first ever, making previous doom and gloom forecasts of OPEC's too little too late production cuts now seem like a sober prediction rather than an overzealous fear-mongering. But are negative oil prices here to stay? It's the first time ever that WTI crude oil futures settled at negative $37.63 per barrel on Monday. That's down $55.90 a barrel in one day. Not only was it the largest price drop for the commodity in history, but some 305% of a drop. It actually made futures below zero. So how do you explain that? How are negative oil prices even possible? How does that work? It's all due to COVID-19, you guys. Because travel and the pandemic has made global travel and global demand for oil almost nil. People are staying home. They're not traveling. They're not driving their cars to and from work. And the demand for oil is down 29 million barrels a day. The normal is about 100 million barrels a day. And now we're down to almost a third less a day. OPEC decided they were going to decrease their barrel production by 9.7 million barrels a day, but that was way more oil left over than they actually needed. And the problem we're having now is storage capacity of the oil that we have. There's no place to store it now, and many oil importing companies have actually more in storage than they need. If we take a look at the chart here, it says U.S. crude oil historic crash below level zero, and you can see it goes along and then just drops off. So what does this mean for us as investors? Is today's oil crash, is it the end of oil stocks? I personally have Exxon as my oil stock, so I decided to take a look and see what this was going to mean for me. First of all, let's take a look at my year-to-date stat. You can see that about the beginning of the year, we were right around $70 a share for Exxon. And at its low on 23rd of March, when we hit the bottom, that was $30.11 a share, you guys. Now it has come back a little bit since then. But what is the sustainability? There's a lot of headlines out there. Exxon Mobil cut down to the dividend cut. Now we saw Ford cut its dividend earlier in the year because of this, because they're not selling cars. Unless the global economy comes back to a semblance of normalcy, and soon, Exxon's gap between its cash inflow and its cash outflow will exceed $25 billion annually. The dividend has a high probability of being cut in the next 12 months. Now, those of you who know energy and oil stocks have a good dividend usually, but is it sustainable? Good questions. Here's another headline. Exxon's earnings stink, but its execution rocks. Low oil prices are doing terrible things to Exxon's bottom line, but that's not the right issue for the long-term investors to focus on. So what is their long-term view? So Exxon is doing what it has to in order to deal with a difficult market environment. Sure, 2019 was not a great year on top or the bottom line once you remove asset sales, but 2020 is surely likely to be worse. Exxon is rolling with the punches here, and it has many times before. Remember, Exxon has increased its dividend for 37 consecutive years, an impressive track record in a cyclical industry. You don't achieve that kind of dividend history without doing a lot of things right along the way. That's something investors should focus on with Exxon, instead of worrying about something that management can't control, oil prices or the COVID pandemic, and look at what they can control. On that front, there's a lot going well today. So what does that mean for me as an investor? Should I keep my Exxon stock? Is it worth the headache? Is it worth the risk? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. For the time being, I'm going to hold it. I feel like if we can ride this out this year, I don't see an end to people driving gas-powered cars anytime soon. With 6 billion of us on planet Earth, that's a lot of cars. I do think that we'll have more electric cars in the future, but I don't think it's ever going to get rid of the gas-powered combustion engine. And as long as that's the case, we will need oil companies to give us oil for our cars. Anyway, you guys, hope you got something out of this. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and you haven't already subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Hit the button, ring the bell. You get notified every time I make a video. All right, thanks for coming by.